Did you know that a dirty living condition might be linked to narcissistic abuse? Narcissistic abuse doesn't just affect your emotional and mental well-being. It can also have a major impact on how you maintain your home and care for yourself. Narcissists leave you feeling drained, unworthy, and disconnected from the basic tasks that make you feel settled. Over time, this can lead to a messy, chaotic living space where nothing feels in control. Today we'll explore some of the hidden ways narcissistic abuse can contribute to dirty living conditions. Are you ready for number 1? Overwhelm from micromanagement. When you live with a narcissist, you might feel like every little thing you do around the house is under a microscope. Narcissists often have this need to control everything, and that includes how you fold the laundry, wash the dishes, or even where you keep the salt shaker. They'll criticize, nitpick, or redo tasks, making you feel like nothing you do is ever good enough. Over time, this constant micromanagement can leave you feeling paralyzed. Dr. Craig Malkin, author of Rethinking Narcissism, explains that narcissists thrive on control because it reinforces their sense of superiority. So, when they sabotage or overmanage tasks, it's less about the task itself and more about keeping you feeling small and dependent. Here's where it gets tricky. This overwhelm can lead to a kind of mental shutdown. You stop trying because you're tired of the judgment, which can make household chores pile up. Think about it. If every attempt to clean is met with criticism, why bother at all? It's like playing a game you know you're destined to lose. Trauma therapist Shannon Thomas, in Healing from Hidden Abuse, describes this as learned helplessness, a state where victims feel so controlled and defeated that they struggle to take initiative. This cycle can lead to messy or chaotic living spaces, not because you don't care, but because the constant criticism has drained your motivation. It's not about laziness, it's about survival. Let's talk about number 2, restricted resources. Narcissists often control finances as a way to keep you dependent. They might limit your access to money or make you justify every purchase, even for basic things like cleaning supplies. Imagine needing to ask for approval just to buy a broom or dish soap. It's exhausting and degrading. Dr. Ramani Durvasula, a clinical psychologist and author of Don't You Know Who I Am, explains that narcissists use control over resources to maintain power and dominance in the relationship. This can leave you feeling stuck, unable to manage even the simplest household tasks, because you just don't have the tools or means. When your needs are constantly dismissed, you start to internalize the idea that you and your environment don't matter. Over time, this can lead to neglect of your space, because why bother when you're being made to feel invisible? It's not about laziness or lack of willpower. It's about the emotional toll of constantly fighting for the bare minimum. When the narcissist blocks repairs or upkeep, your space can spiral into chaos. It piles more stress onto an already overwhelming situation. Let's move on to number 3, shame-induced avoidance. When you've been a victim of narcissistic abuse, shame can take over in ways you don't always notice right away. It makes you want to hide your feelings, your struggles, and even your living space. You might avoid cleaning or tidying up because it feels like too much to deal with, or because the idea of someone seeing your mess brings up overwhelming anxiety. Psychologist Beverly Engel, in her book The Emotionally Abused Woman, explains, shame makes you feel as though your very existence is flawed, so you hide who you are. That hiding can extend to your home, where avoiding others and the mess becomes a way to protect yourself from judgment. The problem is that this avoidance doesn't help. It makes everything feel worse. The clutter starts piling up, and every time you see it, it reminds you of all the things you're not addressing. This feeds the shame, creating a cycle that feels impossible to break. Now, let's continue to number 4. Forced minimalism or hoarding. Narcissistic abuse often comes with this constant need for control that can show up in the weirdest ways, even in how much stuff you have. A narcissist might push you toward extreme minimalism, where they insist you can only keep the bare minimum, saying things like, "Why do you even need that? It's useless." Over time, you start second-guessing your right to own things, feeling guilty for wanting anything beyond what's necessary. On the flip side, they might force you to hold on to everything, turning your space into chaos. If you've lived with forced minimalism, your space might feel cold and empty. If you've been pushed into hoarding, the clutter can feel suffocating, making it hard to know where to start. Both extremes leave you disconnected from your space because it was never fully yours to begin with. As Dr. Gabor Mate points out in The Myth of Normal, trauma disconnects us from our sense of autonomy and control. Reclaiming your space starts with permitting yourself to decide what stays and what goes. Little by little, you can turn it into a reflection of your needs and preferences. Someone else's control. You shouldn't miss number 5. Unhealthy escapism. Reality can feel unbearable when you've been through narcissistic abuse. It's not surprising that you might look for ways to escape it, even if just for a little while. Distractions like binge-watching shows, scrolling endlessly on your phone, or sleeping more than usual can feel like a safe way to disconnect from the emotional pain. Dr. Edith Eger, in her book The Gift, 12 Lessons to Save Your Life, says, "Avoidance isn't freedom. It's a self-imposed prison." While these coping mechanisms might give temporary relief, they can also lead to neglecting everyday tasks, like cleaning or organizing. As a result, it leaves your living space in chaos. Seeing the dishes stack up or laundry overflow can make you feel overwhelmed and stuck, reinforcing the need to escape again. However, the more you escape, the more the mess piles up, and the harder it feels to face reality when you snap back to it. Are you still up for number 6? Suppressed self-care. When you've been through narcissistic abuse, it's common to put yourself last without even realizing it. Narcissists have a way of making you feel like your needs don't matter. Over time, this can lead to a deep, subconscious belief that taking care of yourself or your space isn't important. You might feel guilty for spending time on something like cleaning when you've been conditioned to prioritize someone else's needs. Dr. Lindsay Gibson, in her book Adult Children of Emotionally Immature Parents, explains that when your emotional needs have been neglected, you learn to neglect them too. This can trickle down to everyday self-care, like keeping your living space tidy or creating a comfortable environment. Finally, we're down to number 7. Role reversal dynamics. Living with a narcissist often feels like you're stuck in a one-sided relationship where all the responsibilities fall on you. This role reversal dynamic can show up in your home. The narcissist expects you to clean up their messes while they contribute nothing in return. Over time, it's exhausting and deeply unfair. Psychologist Dr. Craig Malkin, in his book Rethinking Narcissism, explains that narcissists tend to see themselves as special or above ordinary responsibilities, leaving others to pick up the slack. If you've been in this dynamic, you might feel resentment bubbling up, but the constant emotional manipulation keeps you in a cycle where you're cleaning their mess to avoid conflict or criticism. This pattern can lead to burnout, and eventually, you might stop caring about cleaning up at all. Why bother when you know it's a thankless job? Reclaiming your space can also be empowering. It's a way of saying, "This is mine, and I deserve to live in a place that feels balanced and fair." In conclusion, the link between narcissistic abuse and dirty living conditions is real, even if it's not always obvious. The emotional exhaustion and feelings of worthlessness that come with being in an abusive relationship can make it hard to keep up with everyday tasks, like cleaning or organizing your space. But recognizing this connection is the first step toward taking back control of your environment and your life. It's important to remember that your living space is an extension of how you feel about yourself. You deserve a place that reflects your worth, and it's never too late to start making changes, one small step at a time.